Shalom, giving all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rabakak, Wadash, double honors to the Apostle, Great Millstone, rule well. Peace, love, and blessings also to you, sincere laborers, brothers on the highways and byways, giving all diligence to make that calling and election sure, and also blessings to you, few sisters out there listening, learning, and believing. I'm thy fellow servant, Kanakla, coming at you once again with a lesson, Lord, so those lessons that are found in exhorting to the elect. Here it is, we have an article here. It says global central banks to boost share of Chinese yuan while reducing U.S. dollar holding survey. Okay, and this is, just to put this plainly, the Chinese yuan is pretty much like the currency, of course, of China, and the U.S. dollar, of course, is the currency of the U.S. Now the banks are reducing the use of the dollar when the U.S. dollar is the pretty much that universal currency that everybody around the world predominantly uses. But here it is now, they're reducing the use, and what's this going to cause is the destruction of the U.S. dollar, and it's going to start by inflation. Okay, where you have more money being printed, and the usage has went down, so it's going to devalue the dollar. Therefore, the prices of the items are going to go up, especially over here in the States, man. Okay, where you go to the store and the cost of everything has skyrocketed. $20 for a loaf of bread, so on and so forth. I'm just exaggerating some numbers, but hey, that's what it's going to be like. Okay, so let's get a little bit into this, because this is prophecy, man. As the scripture say, here's the patience and the faith of the saints. And I got a precept here we can start off with before I get into this. This is Ecclesiastes 25 verse 7. There be 9 things which I have judged in my heart to be happy, and the 10th I will utter with my tongue. A man to have joy of his children, and he that liveth to see the fall of his enemy. And we are alive today, and the U.S. dollar is what kept the U.S. afloat. That's why they, killed Saddam Hussein, if I'm not mistaken. That was him, Saddam Hussein, or Osama bin Laden. I forget exactly which one, but that's why they went over there and killed him. That's why they killed Gaddafi, because all those, mainly those two countries, they wanted to move away from the U.S. dollar and move towards the gold standard, and they were assassinated. Why? Because that would be the end of an empire for the U.S. But here it is now. You got all these countries, big countries, moving towards the yuan. Okay, and that's why America's finna get ready to start a third world war, because this is a downfall. This is gonna cripple the U.S. dollar, the U.S. currency. Therefore, they're not able to have that power over the nations, because that's how the U.S. was able to put sanctions on countries, because why? The U.S. dollar was what controlled the market, the global market. Okay, it says 1/3 of central banks worldwide will add the yuan to their reserve assets in the nearest future, prompting the rise of the Chinese currency, a global survey shows. According to the Global Public Investor survey published by the London-based official monetary and financial institutions forum, 30% of central banks plan to increase their yuan holdings over the next 12 to 24 months, up from only 10% increase last year. All right, here's the article. Here it says China cheers Russia's move away from U.S. dollar in favor of the yuan. All right, so the OMFIF claims that yuan's rise is likely to be a global trend. So everybody's hopping upon, this bandwagon, so to say, because why? They're tired of they are tired of the tyranny, all right, of the U.S. Once again, the sanctions. The U.S. was able to just place sanctions on anybody, because why? Their currency controlled the global market, so they were able to cut them off, all right, from the global market, because they controlled it, because the U.S. dollar was theirs, man. So of course, this is going to be a global trend, because people are tired of the sanctions, man. They're tired of being bullied. They're tired of being oppressed. So they're gonna this is their way out. Okay. It says, but maybe especially strong in Africa, where nearly half of central banks are set on boosting their yuan reserves. The findings also show that 20% of the world's central banks want to reduce their US dollar holdings in the coming months. Okay? So something big is getting ready to happen. You know, we're just sitting back waiting, man. You know, you already see the prices of everything going up. Inflation, you know, is already kicking in. So this is going to do nothing but pretty much rapidly progress that inflation. All right. It says, while 80% plan to cut their euro reserves and 14% their holdings of eurozone sovereign debt. And in one such move, Russia has fully eliminated the US dollar from its national wealth fund. Okay, so they've fully eliminated from the national wealth fund. It says reducing its share from 35% to 0. All right, so these effects are going to set in real soon. Okay, because those dollars are going to be in circulation. They're going to make their way back over here to the U.S., man. Okay, and there's going to be a influx of paper dollars here, and you know, as they say, the chicken's going to come home to roost. You know, that saying there, man, it's going to get bad over here. The country raised the amount of Chinese yuan in the fund to 30.4%, which put it in second place after the euro with 39.7. Here's another article here. Ditching dollars. Russia dumps $5 billion from its oil fund in favor of yuan and euro. Wow, that's a lot of money. Okay, this is according to the OMFIF data. Central banks, sovereign wealth funds, and public pensions funds currently control a total of 42.7 trillion in assets. Central bank reserves globally jumped some 1.3 trillion in 2020 to a new peak of 15.3 trillion. The majority of global central banks insist that financial markets depend on their monetary policies. However, only 40% believe these policies need to be actively updated. But as I opened up here with, this is good news for us. We're living to see the fall of our enemies. Okay, and we're seeing it over here in America. The life expectancy went down by a year. The overdosing in America has increased. You know, more suicides over here in America. So America is falling. All right. And that's the Lord pretty much plaguing this place. And ultimately, he's going to take this place out, because this is Babylon the Great here in the scriptures. And I get right into it. It says, and after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. Now he say, I saw these things. All right. And he cried mightily with a loud, it's like a mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and has become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. So we know this is talking about, all right, a future Babylon, because the ancient Babylon is still standing. Okay, so this is talking about America. America is that mystery Babylon that the scriptures speak about. It says, for all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. All right. So, and a part of that fornication was using this US dollar, man. Okay, so these nations were deceived into making good use of this currency that pretty much wasn't backed by anything, wasn't backed by gold. Okay, so they was just taking pretty much monopoly money. So the nations have drunk of that wine and that wrath, man. And as I say, the nations were mad. Okay, so America is falling and is shutting down. And, you know, these are the signs. Let's get this real quick. We'll close out. I don't want to make this too long. Isaiah 14:4, thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. And these are signs of this golden city ceasing, man. All right, everybody, you know, was with it, wanted to use the US dollar and was down with America, was Confederate with America, as speak about in Obadiah. Okay, but now they're turning their back on America and moving towards this Chinese currency. Okay, it says the Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked, meaning their power, and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. And under the guidelines of this dollar, once again, they were able to control, nations, put sanctions on them. Okay, there was just an article in here that I read. Matter of fact, let's see if we can find that real quick to show you an example. Of how they were able to control countries with the U.S. dollar, but pretty much it was their downfall. Put sanctions on them. Here it is right here. Do sanctions really work? Russia has faced restrictions for years, but all they've done is push Moscow further away from the West. Okay? Because that's what they would do, because while they controlled the global market, putting sanctions on them, but it did nothing but move them further away. All right. Sanctions are the U.S. weapon of choice in less than clear-cut international conflicts. Okay, put in place on a pretext of protecting international peace and national interests. History shows their effect is more usually the opposite. Worse still, it's the American people themselves who often become the unwilling and inadvertent targets of excessive economic restrictions. All right. The failure of American sanctions, whether sanctions work or not, is no great secret. Time and time again, the U.S. has clung to sanctions as its de facto power of tough diplomacy. Okay? So smoting the people. So they would just go around just putting sanctions on people. It says, yet Washington is failing to recognize the obvious reality. They simply do not work other than perhaps as a tool to bully, all right, or with which to play to the crowds. Okay? In fact, tough-sounding economic policies have been shown to almost never have the desired effect against America's adversaries. Instead, all too often, sanctions bolster those in power who use the threat of Washington's overreaching in their domestic affairs as a way to influence national opinion and shore up their support. Okay? But you get the point. They use these sanctions, all right, to pretty much bully these other nations. And this is a good read, man. This is a long article here, but just wanted to make the point here to show you. It says, he who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted and none hindereth. Okay, so this is the downfall of America. All right, and once America is taken out of power, since the whole earth is at rest and is quiet, they break forth into singing. This is going to happen once this place is removed, and it's starting right now, man. These countries are moving away from the U.S. dollar, and that's going to make America crumble. All right. So with that, Lord's willing is edifying to next time. Give all praise to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Shalom.